welcome back. So today I'm going to be showing you how to sew down your 5x5 closure and how to draw your guidelines for when you're making a closure unit. So we're just going to pull the closure down about half an inch down. I don't have an exact measurement, but you want to think of this black cap right here as your hairline. You want to think of it as, okay, I'm not going to put my closure directly on my hairline. So of course you're going to have to move the unit up a little bit more, pull the closure up a little bit more, if that makes sense. So you're going to pull it down half an inch and you're going to pin everything down nice and flat because you do not want your closure to be bumpy. Could it be you calling me down? My foolish heart comes at the start. All the times, all that you see. You don't need nobody else, and you're dependent on me. Could it be you calling me down? Okay, so next what you want to do is make sure that your closure is supposed to be where it's supposed to be. You want to make sure it's flat. You want to make sure that it's even on both sides. Like you don't want one side of the closure longer than the other side. So what I like to do next is either braid the closure or put it in a bun just to get it out of our way when we're going to sew and when we're going to actually make the unit. All the times, all that you see. You don't need nobody else, and you're dependent on me. So the thread that I'll be using is my nylon thread, and I like to use this thread for sew-ins and to sew down my lace. So of course you're going to need a curved needle. You can get these stuff from your local beauty supply store, and of course you're going to put the thread through the hole, and then we're just going to go into sewing the closure down. Another thing that you want to make sure that you do, just for anyone that has never sewn before, after you put the thread through the needle, you want to make sure you are tying at least 1 or 2 knots at the end so that way your thread isn't slipping out. Okay, so when I begin to sew, I like to make sure that everything is secure from beginning to end. So what I like to do is, of course, sew the cap and the closure together, and I'm going to put the needle through the loop. It's probably not going to make any sense as I'm saying it, but when you pay close attention, you'll see exactly what I mean. Another quick tip is do not make your thread too long. Like, you're just going to see me fighting for my life with this thread. Try not to make your thread too long to the point where it's just tingling and whatnot. Okay, so finally I got it down pat. So when you get to the corners, well, when you're at the corners, like the beginning of the closure, I like to pull the closure to the cap once or twice. I just feel like it makes the front of the closure flatter. I don't go all the way down because you do want to keep a little extra lace where the hairline is out, but I'm probably not making any sense. But as you pay attention, it'll make sense looking at it than me explaining it. But I just do that part twice, and we're just going to sew the entire closure all around. You also want to make sure that your stitching is not too far apart from each other. That is just going to cause lifting within your closure, and you do not want that. Could it be you calling me down? My foolish heart comes at the start. All the times, all that you see. You don't need nobody else, and you're dependent on me. Could it be you calling me
All that I have is all that you see. You don't need nobody else, and you're in this all on me.
So once you're done sewing down your closure, you want to make sure you repeat the same steps we did in the beginning, making sure that your closure is nice and secure and that it is not going anywhere.
Corners in the paddock, get my piece. Bishop P. Drop those numbers for my P. We don't want no peace. Got a spotted cuffs right. Just for peace. Drop the dad and never planet. Beside the peace. She not a lesbian for peace. She turned lesbian. Push P. Push a P. On capital P, I write the president. Count president. Push P.
Okay, so these are the metallic markers that I use to draw my lines, or I'll use the Sharpie metallic markers. I will link it in the description box. So when it comes to drawing my lines, you can either use a measuring tape to do this, or you can do it without. I personally do it without. And typically when I draw my lines, I do them 2 finger spaces away from each other. You want to do this because if you sew your wefts too close to each other on the sewing machine, the cap will literally shrink, so that you don't want that. So try to aim for 2 finger spaces away when it comes to drawing your lines. I do want to note that these lines look a little crazy. It is very hard for me to record in an angle that you guys will be able to see exactly what I'm doing. So we're just going to act like my lines are straight, and we're just going to ignore the fact that they're super duper crooked. I've been watching you, boy. 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 I've been watching you. If I let you know, you can't tell nobody. I'm talking about nobody. Are you responsible? Boy, I gotta watch my back, 'cause I'm not just anybody. Set my goals to your goals. Sometimes I'm good. Right now I'm not. Say yes or say no, 'cause I really need somebody. Tell me if that's somebody. Say yes or say no. You. Say yes or say no. You. Okay, so here I'm just trying to go back in and correct my crooked lines that are already crooked. But I just want to point out that your guidelines don't have to be super duper perfect. They're literally there to guide you with where you want to place your web. Sometimes when I make a wig, I'm not even directly sewing on the lines. So I just want to point that out. I also want to say that I'm going to have to make these wig making videos in increments because I can't put everything into one video, if that makes sense. But this is the end, and I hope that you learned something per usual, and see you in the next one.
Got you.